and join us for the joy song.
Everywhere present, no matter what we think or believe, God is in this room. Can I get an amen? Amen. So it is. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Are you guys busy and hustling about and doing all the things that need to get done by you? Yeah. How many of you are done? Not too bad. Us workaholics and the last minute players are still in the game. You know, why do it now when we have tomorrow? You know? So I want to remind everybody about a January workshop coming up, our vision, mission, and core values. It's going to happen in January. So I need you to check your e-newsletters. It's a very, very important workshop that everyone is invited to. This is your moment to work together as a team to declare who are we as a community. What is our vision for the world? What is our mission as this church? What are our core values that we want to live on? So I absolutely encourage you to attend. There's a sign-up sheet in the back, in the back community room. We need you to sign that you're coming, and we need you to sign to tell me you're not coming. You know why? Let me tell you why I want to know you're not coming. So when we create the new vision and mission and you're not here, I get to give you the piece of paper and say, see, you had an opportunity and you passed on it. Just saying. Because although the truth of consciousness is, those that are there that day will create the consciousness that is already prevalent in this ministry, but we would sure love yours to be part of it. So if you're coming, it's the second Saturday in January, and then on Sunday we're going to have a vision, mission, core value talk. And you know what we're going to do after that? We're going to dance. We're going to have a dance on Friday the 18th, whatever that date is. We're going to celebrate the fact that we've come together as a community who we are. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's potluck. We're going to sit around, chat with each other, dance for those that are cared to. We'll have a live DJ. It's going to be fun. So we're going to use that window of opportunity to express ourselves and to celebrate that expression. So that's in the sign-up in the room as well. So if you can make it, please do so, and certainly come to the workshop on Saturday for our vision. So let us pray. Let us pray. Let's breathe in that God that's in that room, in this room. Let's breathe. And we exhale all that is not of God, the sense of concern and reach out with each other. And so, thank you, Mother, Father, God, as we share the message of the Christ light within, which radiates, but of which we speak of so highly in this month of December. So today is the Sunday of the We Three Kings. As we explore all that awaits us, we are open and receptive to all that is said, all that is heard, all that is sung today. For our minds and our hearts are open to the glory. And so for this truth, we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center's Charlie Brown Christmas Day. My name is Diane Dean. And this is our spiritual home where we pray together. We share by way of classes and gatherings and show our faith and love and kindness to each other and the world. And we welcome all of you here today. If this is your first time, please wear your name badge that you received at the welcome desk. And if you have any questions, you may. Thank you for joining us. Please raise your hand if this is your first time here today. Oh my goodness, look. We want to, Hector makes his beautiful music. It's your turn.
Good morning.
Now we got piano coming out. I know. But it sounds good though. Whatever y'all do, it sounds good.
Do you guys own your own equipment or do you rent?
We actually hire a piano.
You do? Is there a place where you can rent speakers? Because what we want to do is rent some speakers to hang them up there just to test it out for like a month or so. These were music?
Right on 441.
Yeah.
Winter at Fucking Joel.
Okay.
I know they rent stuff.
Okay.
Tell you with the church. Tell them what you want. He doesn't there, we can get it.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
He's a really good deal. I go in here. So I was just renting for me.
No. They were not incorporated. She didn't put them in her time. We'll have to do it. We'll put them in for next week. Yeah, we'll be in touch with you.
Yeah. Yeah. What, a monitor to hang from the ceiling?
Yes, 2 speakers.
Or
No,
church or for mains?
remains.
Mains.
Get rid of everything else. We try to get the sound coming down.
On the side.
Can't have it on. Gotta have it. Because if they're pointing straight out, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to go back here and it pops off and that's what we have to do. I know. Unless we have a full street. Like in the ring.
Yeah.
That's really what we need is arena style sound.
Thank you for taking your seats. Well, the bookstore sale continues this week with 25% off everything. That's enough, Hector. Oh, the bookstore sale continues with 25% off everything. A great opportunity for Christmas gifts. The e-newsletter this week had a ton of information in it. Did anybody not receive it? Is it, oh good, everybody, all right, one person, okay, there's a message there. Did anybody not read it? Okay, well, there's your opportunity. We use that method to communicate with you to try and reduce the amount of time we have to spend on announcements during the service. But most importantly, be sure that the office has your correct email address, because on January 4th, you're going to be receiving a notice to renew your membership for the coming year. And if we don't have your email, we can't send you that notice, so you can't renew. So it's your job first. Be sure the office has your email. The Bylaws Committee will be meeting at 11:30 in the Minister's office today. They're working on that. And the Nominating Committee, headed by Barbara Richards, and including John Booth, Reverend Moe, and myself, are pleased to announce the 3 candidates that are seeking election to the board for the 2019 season. And they are Joan Pete, Renee Romero, and Cheryl Harris, and we thank them for their willingness to serve our ministry. Would you three ladies please stand? The board election will be at the annual meeting in February. The next 2 Sundays are going to be so special. You're not going to want to miss it. Our Christmas candle lighting service will be on Monday, the 23rd, at our usual time, and Reverend Moe will be leading us to look in more depth at the 12 spiritual powers. And the following Sunday, we welcome back Reverend Tina Dixon Bartlett. Remember her? Yeah, sure you do. And she will be conducting a burning bowl and white stone service. Okay, I know what the burning bowl is, and that is the part where we let go of the past. But then the white stone service is where we move forward into the new year using a word that's discerned by us during the service, write it on the stone, and carry that forward with us throughout the year. Our prayer chaplain today is George Neal.
Would all of the chaplains in service today please stand? You can recognize us by these purple sashes that we all wear. And we will be standing up here at the front in service to pray with you. You may ask for a private prayer, and we have 2 prayer rooms on either side of the sanctuary. Unity publishes the Daily Word, and it is available in our bookstore. The word for today is love, and it's based on the scripture, Colossians 3:14. I am the divine love in expression. I am a creative being, spiritual being, and the substance of which I create is divine love. This includes the loving feelings I may experience as my day unfolds. These are important elements, but divine love exists deeper than feelings, at the very core of my being. The Trappist monk and author Thomas Merton described love as an intensification of life. My life today is deepened and strengthened by the creative intensity I bring to every choice. It is only by allowing the substance of love to shape my day that I can intensify my life experience and be a blessing to others. I am divine love in expression, and my heart is open to every opportunity the day will bring to share that love with others. Please join me in saying the affirmation. I am divine love in expression. The spiritual power for December is life. The life power is related to the ability to energize, vitalize, and invigorate. Please join me in sharing the affirmation. I am life. My body is full of energy and demonstrates the activity of God. I will now bless the prayer box, and I ask you all to send your energy up here also to the prayer box. Let's close our outer eyes, take a deep breath, and go into our heart space. And let us see the divine energy of spirit descending on all those named in this prayer box. Let them be filled with this spirit and the knowledge that they are divine beings, and that in divine order that which they need will be provided, all according to the greater good. Let them be blessed, and let those who placed the names in this prayer box also be blessed, and let that spread to their family and friends. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Staying in that state of calm, let us get calm. Let us just be present in this moment. For I know that some of you come here for this part of the service, to connect with that inner spirit, that innerness that we choose to call God.
So we just breathe. We just give ourselves permission to breathe in all of God. Consciously, we take a breath. And inwardly, we acknowledge, I am breathing in the very presence and essence of God. We give ourselves permission to be seated in this arena where the very breath around us is infilled with the loving, caring presence of God. We make a choice to listen to that still small voice that we call God, intuition, sweet spirit, the power within, the Christness. We allow ourselves to hear the very voice of God within us. For this voice wants to be heard. Through the busyness of our lives, we forget to listen. But this very moment, we choose to hear. We hear God. For God is alive and present within us, moving through every part of our being, pulsating our heart and pumping the blood through every vein in our bodies is God. So let us listen. Let us hear that sweet voice of God. So gently returning ourselves to this present moment of now, we quietly, inwardly say amen, amen. And now together audibly, amen. And so it is, amen. Singing carols, stringing popcorn, making footprints in the snow. Memories, Christmas memories, they're the sweetest that I know. Cookies baking in the kitchen, cards and ribbons everywhere. Frosty Christmas memories float like snowflakes in the air. And oh, the joy of waking Christmas morning, the family round the tree. We had a way of making Christmas mornings as merry as can be. I close my eyes and see shiny faces of all the
is on 3 Kings. I don't remember turning it off, but apparently I did. So, the story of the 3 Kings is one that has some deep metaphysical meaning. Because there's several characters involved in the story. Besides the 3 Kings, there's this guy, Herod. You guys remember Herod? Right? So I'm going to share with you from Matthew chapter 2, and it's titled The Visit of the Wise Men. And it reads, in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising, and have come to pay him homage. When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired as to where was this Messiah. They told him, in Bethlehem of Judea, and so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them to the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, go and search diligently for the child, and whom you have found him, bring me word so that I may go and pay him homage. When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overjoyed and overwhelmed with excitement. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. For the most part, I think all of you have heard that story. And we see these 3 wise men on camels, galloping through to get to this, following the star, right? And so we see this, and we are called to mind to say, okay, so we got these 3 kings. Well, my mother, God bless her, many times, she got me this cute little 3 tins, one of frankincense, one of myrrh, and one of gold. And I have it sitting up here. And if you'd like to look at it after service, I do want the gold bar. Don't take the gold bar with you. It's 23 karat. I have a certificate that says so. So it must be true. So when it comes to frankincense, gold, and myrrh, what do they mean? What do they mean in this biblical story? For people in East Africa and the Arabian Peninsula produced frankincense and myrrh for more than 5,000 years. For much of this time, these aromatic resins were the region's most important commodity, with a trade network that reached across Africa, Asia, and Europe. Today, the demand for frankincense and myrrh has subsided, but numerous Chinese, Greek, Latin, and Sanskrit sources remind us of their past importance. Frankincense and myrrh were desired for personal, religious, and medicinal reasons. In a time before daily bathing, people would use the sweet smoke from the resin to make themselves smell better. Get the picture? So remember to thank running water and soap today, because it could be very different, right? And Egyptian women utilized the ash from frankincense for personal use, as well as mixing it in for eyeshadow, hence Cleopatra, with all the makeup that she wore. It was from frankincense and myrrh. The substance was also used in religious ceremonies and burials. The Egyptians both used frankincense and myrrh in the preparation of animal sacrifices and human mummies. Now the reason that is the case, because they would go weeks ahead of time, kill the animal, and they needed something to preserve it, and the same with the mummies, so they used this frankincense and myrrh. Hebrews incorporated them into ceremonies in the 3rd century BC, and Christians started using them in 4th century AD. Frankincense and myrrh are also used for medicinal uses. Priests recommended both resin for the treatment of wounds, oil, other ailments that were also reported to cure hemlock, poisoning, leprosy, worms, snake bites, diarrhea, plague, scurvy, and even baldness. Need to know this stuff. The high demand for frankincense and myrrh created a booming trade in the Middle East lasting several hundred years. In the 1st century, around the height of the trade, the Arabians produced approximately 16 tons of frankincense and around 500 tons of myrrh each year. Clearly, frankincense and myrrh were widely available when the 3 kings visited the baby Jesus around 5 BC. These gifts would have been considered practical gifts with many uses. Hence, now you know about frankincense and myrrh. Now, what does it mean? What does frankincense, gold, and myrrh mean? Today, we use frankincense and myrrh, believe it or not, in cosmetics. It has an incense flavor that goes off, and a lot of people use it in their productions. So when you see all those commercials that Macy puts out right now, with all the different colognes for men, well, they're using frankincense and myrrh, or some derivative of it, to create that odor that comes from it, which is kind of cool. So scientists are finding new uses for the substances. Right now, we're currently using them for sufferers of asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, osteoporosis, colitis. Researchers have discovered even for the treatment of ulcers and parasites. So these are still very useful items even today, even some 2, 3, 4,000 years later, which is kind of cool. So the wise men, metaphysically, represent the wisdom that is carried with them through reincarnation. Now, reincarnation, that's where you die and you come back again, right? So what we teach about reincarnation is that we learn something in this particular life, and then we take it with us for the next life. We don't get to start all over again, thank you, Father, right? So we move on through it. So wise men are chosen for their wisdom that they've obtained through all the many lives that they've had. And since we have these 3 wise men who represent the wisdom that is carried within their soul through reincarnations. The East represents within man's inner consciousness. So you got the East and the wise men going east. So the wise men are using all of their experience from all of their lives, and they're going in the inner consciousness toward the East. So when you think of the word East, it's representing the inner consciousness within us. The gifts represent the inner resources of spirit, which are open to the Christ mind. So we get these gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, that represent our everyday tools, because they were very commonly used throughout this period of time for many different things. And so to use these tools, you had to be open to how they could benefit you, because of the wide spans. And so metaphysically, the gifts represent the inner resources of spirit within us. Gold represents the spirit itself. You can take this little gold ball that is filled with 23-karat gold, and you gently, and it looks like gold snowflakes. And it represents the inner spirit within us. And frankincense represents using that spirit for the beauty of spirit, and myrrh, the eternity of spirit. So you've got spirit itself, the beauty, and the eternity of spirit. You see, because spirit never goes away. It's always within us. Sometimes we forget it's there on our human experience, but the spirit lives within us all the time. And it's the wise men within us, that inner guidance, that inner consciousness, that guides us on our journey. And then we've got Herod, to round off the characters. Herod signifies the ruling will of the physical. And in the Bible, it reports in Matthew that Herod hears about this Messiah being born. Now, the truth is, if you really do your history of that time frame, there were Messiahs born all the time. They were left and right. There were guys running around all over the place. I'm the one. I'm the one. You know, follow me. Because why would they want you to follow them? Money. The money was good. If you can grab a crowd and they start to believe that you're the one, they will give you all of their riches and gold because they want the kingdom of heaven. Right? They're seeking out the kingdom of heaven. And so there's shady guys out there all over the place doing this. But some of them were called. Some of them were. And it was Herod's job to silence all those voices. So anytime he heard about a Messiah being born, he'd find out where they were, and then suddenly they disappeared. Because if a Messiah is born and comes to power, what happens to him? Yeah, off with your head. Yeah. He loses his power. And the personal will doesn't want to lose its power. It wants to gain power, not diminish it. So it wants to silence any thought of inner spirit or that Christ nature within us being alive. It wants to squelch it. It wants to put it out of its misery. Because the personal will cannot handle the competition and will do what it takes to do this. So this, Herod signifies the ruling will of the physical, the ego of the sense consciousness. This will ever seeks to destroy that which is spiritual because it sees in the things of spirit a power that threatens its rule. You see, if we follow the guidance of God, we have to give up our personal will. And we don't always want to do that. Because we fear where it's going to lead us or what it will happen to us. We live in a state of fear, so some of us will back off from that inner guidance because we don't want any part of it. We'll squelch it, we'll kill off that divine idea. Because we think, in our personal will, we think we know what's best for us. And we will do what it takes to attain that. How many of us have pursued that? Against the will of God. Or opposed to the will of God versus against the will. Because the Herod within us will knock down any guidance that it has. We won't even look to the east, let alone have frankincense, myrrh, and gold in our house. We won't do it. We will actually shut down the door to God. And that's what Herod wanted to do. You know, he said he was going to go pay homage. And remember, it also says in there that Herod was very afraid, and so was Jerusalem. Because the people of Jerusalem needed Herod to stay in charge because of the money. They needed him to continue to rule because their pockets were lined for betterment. You see? So the wise men, they're following the star going east. Big bright star rising in the sky. And they keep following it until it lands. And so it lands and they give homage to this newborn baby with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They gave him the tools to sustain his life in this world. The tools that were of value to a newborn mother, to a newborn child and a mother. These were tools that they needed as part of being part of the society they were in. And so we have to know that when Herod speaks up, we have choice to listen or to go, no, I'm listening to the inner voice within. I'm going to follow the three wise men because in many, many, many ways we know what the right thing to do is. We just turn our heads a little bit and go, oh, it'll go away. You know, if it's really meant to be, it'll come back. Not true. You see, because Herod lived in fear of the unknown. And the truth is that if Jerusalem were rightfully his, no one could ever take it away. But he knew it wasn't his rightfully. He knew how he got the job. And it wasn't through divine spirit looking to the east. It was through power and control that he got that city. And he was going to do whatever he could to squelch any Messiah showing up. So you can see why it's important that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, not in Jerusalem, because he would have never survived the Herod. Would have never been able to do that. And we wouldn't be here today worshiping as we are. So you have a homework assignment. Pretty simple. Do you follow the light of Herod? Or do you follow the light of the wise men? The wise men choose to follow the guidance of God. Because at the very end of this passage, the wise men say they were guided to not go back to see Herod and tell him where the child was. And they listened to the guidance and went their separate ways. Did not go there. Did not go back. You know what they gave up by not going back? Money. Herod was going to pay them for the information. And they said, nah, money's just not worth it. This is the child of a living God, and we will worship him. And the three kings take off and go their separate ways, all representing different parts of the country. Yemen, southern Turkey, Syria. So they took their camels and off they went. So your homework assignment is to be riding the camel of your inner guidance and not sitting back and letting Herod run the show. See, we know what the right thing to do is. We know the right thing to say. We know exactly what it is that is ours to do, whether in this moment or a moment 24 hours from now. And it's up to us to follow that guidance without the fear, even though it's an unknown. But when we trust in the inner guidance of God, it always leads us to our highest and possible good. But we will talk ourselves out of it. We'll let the Herod run our thinking. And it's not Herod's job. You get to choose. Herod or the wise men. Who am I following? Where do I want to go with this? And sometimes it brings us to places we never thought possible. And it also moves us away from those things that no longer serve us. Because when we hang on to that doesn't serve us, we perish and die. Our soul withers. Our spirit diminishes. We no longer have the happy face. We're depressed. We're gloomy. But when you follow the guidance of God, there is celebration that takes place. The inner soul within us radiates and speaks loudly with joy and exultation because we're doing what it is we're supposed to be doing. Whatever that is. See, it's not always big things. It starts with the little things, right? The kindness, the joy, the love, the extended of our time and talents with others. So your assignment this week is to become aware of who it is you're following. Are you following Herod, or are you following the three wise men? See, because we've all been here many, many times before. And so we have a wisdom built up in us. It has brought us this far. So allow that wisdom to continue to guide us on this journey. Whatever this path is for us, we choose here, now, to follow that inner guidance that always leads us to our highest possible good. Even if we don't understand it or know what's coming, it is sitting there waiting for us. The frankincense, the myrrh, and the gold in our life, all of our tools that we need to have a substantial life is sitting there waiting for us. So don't let Herod run the show. Pay attention. Pay attention during this holiday season. Because next week is Christmas. So soon. So what light are you following? The east light or the darkness of Herod? So be mindful of it. Pay attention to it. Allow yourself to change your mind when you find yourself following Herod. Because one of the things that happens to us is that we get on a rhythm and a pattern. Well, I've always done it this way. How's that working for you? If the answer is not so good, then it might be time to take a different path. You see, because we can't push our will on other people. It doesn't work. They will resist, and they will resist, and they will resist you because your will is not your will. So keep your mind and your heart and your eyes open to all that lends itself this week. and follow the three wise men in the East, where our inner guidance always leads us to wonderful choice-making points. Godspeed and smile while you're going on. And so it is. Amen.
Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
We now have an opportunity to share as we've been blessed and receive our offertory.
Divine love, as He blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful.
Thank you, God.
You are the source of our supply. I am blessed, the giver is blessed, and our unity spiritual center is blessed.